Good morning and welcome to your news analysis and current affairs program, The Platform. My name is Sam Omashaye, your regular host on the program. Today we shall be focusing on conversation on the return of President Muhammadu Buhari after 49 days on medical vacation and the communal clash in Ile-Ife, Osun State. The guests today are Attorney General Muyiwa Sobo, public affairs analyst. We also have Paul Kalejaye, an editor, as well as the editor of the Point newspaper, Olawumi Ojo. Welcome back. The 49 days wait for the return of President Muhammadu Buhari ended on Friday. Buhari's return may have put to end speculation surrounding his health status, but Mr. President said he still needs more time to rest. While he was away, some people believed the presidency did a bad job of managing information concerning his health and the extended medical vacation. Thankfully, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo stepped in to steer the affairs of the country in the absence of his principal. Family, friends, and Nigerians in many states celebrated the return of the president, and he thanked them for their prayers and show of goodwill. Let's listen to him.
Grateful to all Nigerians, Muslims and the Christians alike, who have prayed and are continuing to pray for my good health. This is a testimony that in spite of the hardship being experienced, Nigerians support the government in its effort to tackle our country's challenges. The best way for me to repay you all is to rededicate myself to serving you, protecting your interests, and keeping your trust. I thank you very much. I am feeling much better now. There may, however, be need to have further follow-ups within some weeks, rather than sending open delegation to Abuja to welcome me. May I appeal to all Nigerians to continue to pray for our country's unity, progress, and prosperity.
Well, you've heard him. How would you analyze, I called you Attorney General. Well, maybe I was being prophetic. You're an attorney at law. How would you describe or assess what you just heard and what you just saw on television?
Thank you, sir. Good to be on the program. I think the president was being sincere, by the way, when he made the statement that he was happy to be back. Mm-hmm. I mean, from the tone of his voice, you can see that he's been sick truly, because he was speaking very slowly, measured tone. So I think he was being sincere. I think from his countenance as well, probably happy to be back home. Mm-hmm. Okay, but before then, like you rightfully said, the controversy trailing this absence is heightened by our emotions as citizens. Some people who are actually in love with the president, praying for him sincerely, and his detractors who are looking and calling faults to his absence. Yeah. So it's good for him to be back home. I'm happy that he's back home, and I join other Nigerians in praying for his good health.
Paul Kalejaye is a public affairs analyst. What does this mean that he has come home? What does that mean?
Well, it's very clear, and in fact, crystal clear that the president had said three major things. Why he has acknowledged his ill health, he has acknowledged his recovery, and he has acknowledged his readiness to continue to serve the nation. So it goes, and I'm going to pick the last statement to say, I'm going to rededicate myself to serving you, it obviously means that he's convinced within himself that he still has a lot to offer. But having said that, it's also must dawn on us as Nigerians to say that it's not a lesson for the president alone, it's a lesson for all of us, that age will take its toll on our health, because as you grow old, the body is like the engine of a vehicle. When it's brand new, it works in its full capacity. As the engine undergoes wears and tears, it needs repairs and oiling and re-oiling. So it goes to all of us to say that once we have our passion, we have our ambitions, we must also put to bear that those responsibilities that are challenging will take its toll on our health. And that explains why we must weigh our ambitions and passions along with our health and age. That's a lesson not only for President Muhammadu Buhari, but for all of us. And like some people have analyzed that, I listened to Titoloju on Journalist Hangout, and he said, look, Buhari cannot be 73 or 74. His age mates, and he mentioned a few names who are his classmates who are already 79. So you want to understand, it's not about somebody cheating on age, it's about the records available at that point in time. Obasanjo says he was born on the second day of the market day. He cannot say precisely this is my age because there were no records then. So it goes to show that he may even be older than we think. So for me, he has also done something to say in the interim, I may still have to go back for checkups, and that the acting president, his vice president, should keep up the job. So we hope he will still take time to recuperate.
Now,
and I join all Nigerians to wish him good health.
Now, what does it mean by Osinbajo will act until Monday? What kind of work can he do given the state of his health? Because although he says that it's much better, we do not know how much better he is. We do not know whether he's strong enough for the challenges of the task. Is he going to be in office but out of office? Or is it going to be quasi-ceremonial?
There are things I picked from what the president said.
Yeah.
He's critically ill. He has also told us that very soon he will be going back.
Yes.
And he will soon be transmitting another letter to NAS,
Yes.
intimating them of the date that will be returning to London.
Yeah.
That tells me that he's very ill.
Mm-hmm.
I think his return was forced. Mm-hmm. I don't think he was prepared to return now. Mm-hmm. But in order to douse the tension and all the political calculations that have been going on underneath.
What are these political calculations?
I mean, the leaders in the North, thinking ahead of what may happen, were already looking for a capable deputy in the event of Osinbajo becoming the president. So I think his return is forced. It is not as if he is fully fit to get back home. And the president, in return, has told us with all sincerity.
So this is what we are seeing is the politics of health.
Oh, yes. It's not as if he's fully fit to get back to work, which is why he also told us that he deliberately chose to come on a Friday, so that he will still be able to take some rest till Monday when he will take over. And I'm very sure that when he takes over, it will be on a skeletal basis.
So when we say it will come back to the office and then it will just work, how will he convince Nigerians as to what is capable of doing and what not? Because as it is now, Nigerians do not really know what the nature of the illness is. Whether what the doctors say he can do and cannot do, and when he's going to leave, because it's still vague. I mean, it's a few weeks. I mean, it could be 2 weeks' time. It could be tomorrow. It could be,
Yes. See, let me just explain this issue about his leave of absence. Or right now, there's a letter in front of the Senate,
Yes.
saying he's on vacation.
Yes.
It's not a sick leave letter. He didn't acknowledge that he was sick. He said, I'm
Medical
going on
vacation.
medical
Yes, medical
vacation.
vacation, yeah.
Okay.
It's vacation,
now,
mainly.
until he transmits another letter to the Senate that I am back, right now, the vice president is still in charge. Regardless of what he said on TV, it is when he transmits that letter that he's fully back. And I think he's spending the weekend to actually assess that. I mean, obviously he's sick. Everybody sees that. But you have to look at it. Legally speaking, there's incapacity, there's inability to continue in his office. Right now, it's inability, it's not incapacity.
We don't have the footage. I want us to get the footage of him when he was at the airport and so on. I don't know whether we have the footage to find out that. That it was to see where you can assess him, when he walks and his body language and so on and so forth. It's very necessary. If you've seen the footage, some people said, well, it still shows the fragility of somebody who is not.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is you can't actually base your decision or perception on that, on what you see.
Because there are some things you see, but there are some things you see that tell you, that give you so much evidence that you don't even need a doctor. Because some doctors also make judgment based on what they see.
I understand that,
Yes.
but what I'm saying is, objectively, the way he walks, the way he talks, may show certain things. But legally speaking, we need doctors to say, well, this person is actually incapable of continuing in office. So whatever we see, I mean, we can't say, well, because we see him being fragile, then he should stop performing.
You're saying that saying legally,
yes.
But the perception on the street doesn't look at the law.
I appreciate that, to
Yes.
say that, the lawyers will look at the legal points,
Yes.
but we're looking at the social...
The objective condition.
Political milieu in our environment. To say, look, even when Buhari had not gone on medical vacation, you want to understand that he's been a slow and steady person. We've not seen that much of his agility even before he went on medicals. You can make a difference between his vacation period, what he did before his vacation, and what the acting president had been able to do within the span of 49 days. He had virtually moved almost everywhere. You see, to rule this country is to be able to be able and fit, is to have enough agility, because it requires you the box end on your table. And let me tell you, even reading files, as you know, even to be governor,
The mental
particularly
exertion.
even governor of Lagos State, I can tell you that he can only steal like 3-4 hours of sleep a day. He will steal it. Otherwise, the whole state will go into comatose. So to oil the engine of governance, the leader, particularly the head echelon of the leadership, must be physically and mentally fit. So to my mind, whatever Buhari is saying, he is recovering. The language is, I'm recovering. He has not said he has recovered. And it's very clear from the body language, from what we've seen, from his intonation, from his walking, from everything, that he will still need a lot of medical attention. What is most important for Nigerians is to say that the law had provided, I'm not a lawyer, but the law had provided there will never be a lacuna in the rulership of this nation. If the president is incapacitated or whatever, the vice president takes over. God forbid it, even when the two of them are incapacitated, the Senate president takes over, and then it gives room for some other processes for us to have the nation running. We want to thank and appreciate the acting president, the vice president Oshibajo, for keeping the pace.
If the acting president is incapacitated,
The Senate president takes over.
No, if the Senate president is incapacitated,
the deputy Senate president.
And if he's incapacitated,
it goes on and on like that. So, to my mind, I think we have nothing to fear. We have been able to see that Nigerians are capable.
okay.
I
want to say something?
Yeah, I want to say something. And going by what my friend raised, yes, you can assess that he's sick. Yes, you can look at that. But my point is simple, and that is the fragility you're talking about was there when people voted for Buhari. They knew he was old. I mean, they believed something about this man.
No,
but the point, let me finish that. The point that I'm making, though, is yes, he's sick. He's admitted it. It shows he's sick. But there's a process for making that incapacity to become valid. You can't just say because we look at him, he's frail, then he's incapable. No, there's a process for that. And that's why I'm talking about the law. Somebody must look at him objectively and say, this man is sick. He cannot continue.
Unfortunately,
before we get to the point of...
You're becoming too legalistic. Hold on. You're becoming too legalistic in a matter of flesh and blood. You cannot legalize yourself into health. That's the point. You cannot legalize... No. You cannot legalize yourself into health. And I'm talking here from the point of view of popular perception, which is more important than what any legal document. It is very important that not only the legal matter is correct and the medical report is correct, but the evidence of your eyes will match
what you say.
The material on the document. They wanted to say something on that.
Unfortunately, what you're saying may be very difficult to happen in this country. We're in a country where declaring the true state of health of leaders, even at the level of our families, is very, very difficult. Now, we had a president. We had a president who once died while in office.
Yes.
And everything about him was shrouded in secrecy. Now we have a president who has been away on medical vacation, and no Nigerian can say this is what is wrong with Mr. President. And even though people around him may know, they are forbidden to say it. So what I'm saying is that the president himself may find it difficult to transmit what you're saying to the National Assembly. Well, and then it becomes difficult for us to determine his suitability to continue or not.
You see, we must determine this.
Let me help you out.
Did any of you, hold on. Did any of you see the footage? They showed the footage just now of him walking.
I saw it.
Yeah, look at it.
I've seen it.
So let's just see it to the benefit of viewers. His body language, his steps, is him moving, is him, coming down, and... Yes, that's the footage there.
I don't think
we cannot make too much judgment from this. We are not saying that we should make any judgment from this. But going forward, we want to know, we always want to know what it can do and what it cannot do. Those things will make judgments, will give us judgment. But other than that, because that matter is still up in the air. It's still up in the air. It will have to prove in the course of the next week or coming weeks whether it can keep up with the demands of that job. And two, it might not be fair to judge him by the standards of Osinbajo, because Osinbajo is younger.
You're quite young.
Is younger. And so people may want to do that judge. You have to judge him by the standards of himself when he just became president. And when he became president, he actually traveled a lot, but he never traveled within the country. He hardly traveled within the country. He went abroad to so many places, and maybe those things had effect on his health. He went to he went to Germany, he went to the US a number of times, went to Europe, went to France, he went to China. He went to a number of places. I think he went to Australia, did he know? I'm not too sure. Yeah. So he went to so many of these places, and he has never been to Borno State.
Do you understand? Do you understand?
No, but that's what I'm saying. That it was agile enough to travel to all those places without traveling within the country where he was supposed to work. But Osinbajo has been almost everywhere. He has been to Lagos about two times or three times. He has been to the east, he has been to Niger Delta.
Everywhere.
He has been to the north. He has been to virtually everywhere. It is agile to that. Well, judging by his own standards, within the country has not started, but it shows that potentially it could have. Now, can he do that now? Or should he?
I was trying to also, make a point at what the legal person was saying, to say that we need to pray as a people. What the law says is that it is what is transmitted to the National Assembly that becomes the legal framework with which the country will work in respect of the president. But the question now is, if he says he's still very agile, is ready to work, nobody can stop him. He will continue in office. But what will make anybody not to continue in office will be his physical state of health, not his internal state of health alone now, his physical state of health. So for us, I think what we should do is to wait and see what the letter to the National Assembly will say, then two, to see what kind of activities he's able to carry out. But from what we have seen physically, we will not wish that he should overtask himself, because a recuperating period needs periods of rest. It needs periods of concentration. So for us, I think what should concern us mostly now is that the ministers should get to work, the vice president and everybody involved in the act of governance should get to work. They have told us, giving us a blueprint towards the economic recovery and getting out of recession. Nigerians must be much more interested in that. Nigerians now will.
Okay, let's move to another question on this matter. Right, if you see the headlines in the newspapers after his return, in certain parts of the country there was jubilation and so on. What does that, rams being slaughtered and all that? And in some other parts there was silence and so on. What do you make of this?
It's power equivocation.
Yes.
Power equation. It's power equation. Whether we like it or not, the North is jittery. They've been majorly in power for quite a long time in the history of Nigeria. The North believes they are born to rule. But then that equation has changed over a period of time now, particularly necessitated by death of the late Abacha, followed by Yaradua, and now Buhari will pray he does not die, because for us as a people, we must pray that he is by the grace of God be able to complete his tenure, at least the first tenure. If we will now give him a mandate to continue, that will depend on Nigerians, so that nobody comes to lay a claim again. The North-South dichotomy, the North-South political differences.
Okay. We have a call from Kaduna. Amos, hello?
Yeah, this is Amos from Kaduna.
Yeah, go ahead with
my own contribution is that he should look at Mandela as an example. When Mandela was old, when he's not fitted for the job again, he just have to step down honorably. And someone that is strong, took over the place from him. That's my contribution.
Okay. Now, I want you to say that do you get a sense, what I've seen about, where I'm going with this story of jubilation in some parts, is there a sense that it was under pressure to come in order to create a scenario that we now have? That, okay, now he has come and then people are jubilating, he's now here. That was what I meant by the politics of health.
Absolutely.
That, okay, he's now here, he has now reignited his base, and then he can go back again.
That's why I say power equation.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That was big. You have to make it clear.
as of yesterday, quite a number of people down south here were still calling me to ask, is that man truly back?
Yeah.
Or all that we saw, were staged?
Yeah.
That is to tell you that a lot of them down here were already...
Hold on. Daniel from Abuja, hello?
Yeah, good gentlemen, good morning. How are you today?
Good morning. What do you have to say?
Thank you for the topic you guys have just presented. I think the contribution I want to make is very simple. The president, the way he appeared yesterday, it looks very sound. We should start contemplating whether he's fit or not. This is the man we want for now. And we have prayed, and God has answered our prayer. So when he says he's recovering, that does not mean he's not fit. Osibanjo is doing what he's supposed to do, but General Muhammadu Buhari, from what we have seen, is a very outstanding leader, and we are sure he's going to continue. So let us remove our mind from whether he is capable or not. It's only God that can make a man to live. You might have somebody who is 50 years, he will die before a man that is 100 years. We saw it between Nanda Azikiwe and Okadibo.
Well, as an opinion.
You see, Nigerians would always bring sentiments into whatever the truth is that the president, and he admitted it by himself,
he's not
fully fit.
Yes,
we are not talking about.
He didn't say it's sound, so somebody is giving him.
Of course, there are
health bill.
Of course, there are a number of presidents of other nations who are in his age range, and they are functioning.
Yes.
It does not also mean that somebody who is 50 could not be in office and take heal. So we shouldn't bring sentiment into it. The truth that Nigerians do not even know.
Why is that we don't even know what the state of health is?
Yes, we don't know. And even
he said, there's one point I want to make here is that in just one day, he told us more than we ever heard in the 49 days, which means that the problem may not be Buhari's, that we do not know all of this, but that the people around him, including his media mind, who did not even want to say things that the man did not care. He was talking about blood transfusion. Did anybody tell us about blood transfusion?
We were told
that he was so ill. He himself said it. So if we were trying to accuse him, it was probably because he is a man who doesn't talk, and that is his nature. Not good for democracy, but that his people around him did not even want to say what they knew.
Let me piggyback on what my friend said before. I want to believe that the president loves this country to the point, if he determines that he cannot go forward, he will say so and be able to relinquish power. I just want to believe that. But for people who are jubilating, yes, like my friend said, human beings, we are sentimental in a way. He has his supporters. They are happy that he's back. His detractors, his enemies are kind of like, hey, he's back now. And of course, the political agitation is there. And I agree with you, sir, that a lot was hidden from us when he went away. But now he's back. I think, like you rightfully said, let us focus, yes, his strength and his look and so on and so forth. But I want to just know, I want to believe in my head, apart from this legal stuff, that if he sees that he's not capable, he is a sincere man to the point that he will come forward and say, after all, he said in his statement that, look, I want to rest for the weekend, and let's see what happens on Monday.
All right. It's going to be an evolving story. We'll be looking at other aspects of it as the thing goes on, and we're sure that he knows what is best for him or what is best for the country concerning his health. So we'll take a short break, and then we'll come back. We'll look at the riots and fights in Ile-Ife. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Tension is still high in Ile-Ife. Residents of the ancient town are counting their losses after clashes erupted between the Hausa community and their host. At least 7 persons were killed in the crisis, and no tangible reason has been given for the cause. The Oni of Ife and the state government have intervened, while the Inspector General of Police has deployed a special intervention force to restore peace. Should this conflict really be a cause for concern? Does it appear as if the government's intervention will completely settle the dust rising in Ile-Ife? What do you say to that?
It would not. We are a country that is divided strongly along ethnic lines and religious lines. And at the same time, we are very mobile. You find a lot of Yorubas up north. You find a lot of Hausas down here. What we should do going forward is that governments of the day in those states or across board should always ensure that at every point in time, security forces are stationed around those hotspots where we know that at the slightest provocation, these things could happen. Because once it happens, before you deploy intervention forces down there, a lot has been destroyed. Just over a 2-day period, over 30 houses have been razed. A lot of businesses, have gone up in flames, and it will take a lot for those people to recover. Some may never recover. The truth is that the country is under-policed. It brings this to the...
Well, Karaja, it's an interesting thing. When I was investigating this story, I want to know what was the cause of this thing. It looks like it's a
triviality.
Well, it may not be triviality as such. Some people says that it had to do with a crime of passion. Yes, and you call a crime of passion triviality? It's not triviality. They said it's a crime of passion that an Hausa man was having an affair with a Yoruba woman, and the husband of the woman, the cuckolded man, knew of it, and then that sparked anger, and you call it trivialities. In the same area in the 19th century, they went to war over a bowl of pepper, war, which started the conflagration in all of Yoruba land. That's one version. What it means is that when crises start,
you don't know where it will end.
No. When crises start, it starts as though it is trivial. The First World War was started by the killing of they just killed an Archduke of Sarajevo. They just killed him, and it set the whole world on fire. It is that there is already tension and distrust between the two ethnic groups, and we're waiting for a spark. So that spark is not triviality, because it was what they needed to express their rage.
Well,
you
see, when I said triviality, I agree that whatever is trivial may not end up in triviality.
There's no triviality.
It may end up in severity. So, but what we're saying, that's a version of the cause of
that's a version, but that is the most popular one.
The other version is to say the lady went there, and then the Hausa man slapped the lady, and the lady went back. The husband or the boyfriend or whatever happens to be a member of the NURTW, and then they now mobilize people, and then there was an assault. So that's another version. But whichever version we're taking, the most important thing is that something that could easily be ignored or resolved has triggered some kind of
death and destruction
and whatever. So, and my own lesson of this is to say that we must be conscious of the fact that our society is very heterogeneous. We must be conscious of the fact that there has been a mixture of all races, whether in the South, whether in the West, whether everywhere. And that it is normal that the other ethnic group might be in minority where they reside. But if they are minority, we must also understand that we are also going to be minority in their own communities. So if we understand that, we must, tread. I think we, who are the host of the Hausa community, must be much more, careful and accommodating, because we don't want a repressive effect of that on our people. But we must also not lose the fact that such things have been happening in the north. A lot of our people have been killed. The Christians are suffering a lot of persecution in the north. The churches have been destroyed, they have been burnt everywhere, and then there has not been a solution to it. And then we have not even had a retaliation on this part of. So we just appeal that the Hausa community, wherever they are, must understand that the government of the day is doing a lot to protect the Hausa community, to ensure that we live together in peace and harmony. It's not about hatred of Yorubas against the Hausas or the Hausas against the Yorubas. It's an individual thing which has become, a communal thing.
If we want to look at this, take a step back and look at all these reasons that we mentioned as sparking anger and people killing each other. We will see, as my friend here mentioned, we are under-policed. Look, a lot of issues will be taken care of if we have adequate security. Whether you slap someone, and that leads to other people joining you and killing others. If we have adequate security, that will actually tell people to behave. It will inform them to behave. We have 380,000 police officers in this country to what? To police 170 million people. And a lot of people talk about state police and so on. There's no security anywhere. And the Kaduna thing that you mentioned, other ethnic killings and religious killings, and those are concerns that we have to look at. Not the causes alone, but the solution. What are the solutions to this? Yes, we can be accommodating. We can be peaceful. But how do we react? Look at the cow herders, the Fulani herdsmen. They carry AK-47, and they're saying, well, we are protecting our cows. You know, you have people with BMWs and a lot of cars costing 10 times the cows, and they're not carrying guns to protect their properties. They can carry guns. Peaceful people, farmers, cannot carry guns. So let us start thinking about what we will do about this. So this don't happen all the time. I am an advocate for state police. There's nowhere you look in the world that is police like Nigeria. Let us now go and follow what is the best practice in the world. Community policing, local police. You bring a police officer from Zamfara State to Lagos State. Does he understand the community? Does he speak the language? Does he know the culture?
That's what they use. That's why they talk about community
policing. So you've got to know that community to be able to police it. And that is the solution that we should focus on. We should force our lawmakers to focus on that rather than just piecemeal solutions.
I agree with you absolutely on the need for state police. I have advocated that on air everywhere that I have spoken about state police. But also, principally, it goes back to what we talk about, devolution of powers. You see, the central power, the central authority has been jittery to devolve power to the other echelons of government. And why is this so? The central government has been too powerful. It's taken the large chunk of our resources, and it's not shown enough responsibility in terms of caring and fixing our infrastructure. So therefore, it comes to, before the APC government ascended the throne of leadership, what was germane, the amount of APC was that there should be restructuring of the nation. So, but this seems to be dying off. So I know that the APC conference in Ibadan last year also advocated that we must revisit the restructuring of the nation so that we do not over-concentrate power at the center. Because there is over-concentration of power at the center, and some people are feeding fat on that over-concentration. They have decided not to even look at power devolution. They have decided not to look at the restructure. And I pray that somebody will be bold in this country and then hit the nail on the head and say, look, we need to whittle down this power and allow democracy to survive.
Which comes first, the chicken or the egg?
Yeah, we'll resolve that. That can be resolved another time. Well, we'll go on a quick break, and when we return, I'll read to you an excerpt from my column published in the Nation newspaper titled Tortoise at 80. Stay tuned. Before I go to Tortoise at 80, I just want to say that I hope that the return of Buhari is not the sort in which he has come to say, I've come back, so they won't start counting the days and say 49 days, so he has come, so 49 days are cancelled. So when he goes again, he can stay another long time. I hope that is not, that's what I mean by politics of hell. Now from my column. For those close to Kikiola, the pose fits him like a lion in repose. You saw him the other day on television, planted on a mat against the backdrop of tree roots. Beside him was his wife. School children in striped uniforms formed a semicircle on the edge of the mat in front of the Owu chief. Obasanjo has earned his plaudits as one of Nigeria's men of instinct, a dignified rustic, a village ambassador. When last did you see him in an English suit or even in a T-shirt? But that is the life of the tortoise. A bushman is no country bumpkin, at least not this one. He cons his environment with his apparent lack of finesse, yet no one is more sophisticated than Olusegun Obasanjo. He is the tortoise he was unveiling to the boys and girls, a tortoise telling the tale of a tortoise through the voice of a man. The late debonair journalist Stanley Makebu, who had worked for him as advisor in his first incarnation as Nigerian leader, described him, quote, "He is crafty, very crafty," unquote. He even brought this sleight of hand in his engagement with the children. All his life, it was either you saw him or you didn't. When you didn't, he seemed to have dodged the bullet. When you saw him, he was collecting the trophy, even if he did not compete. When a military leader, he relinquished power willingly. When a democratic leader, he would not let go. He wanted the third term. Like a tortoise, he has been in every tale since the 1960s and survived all. As a soldier, as a writer of controversy, as a military leader, a civilian leader, a thespian, a disputed romantic, a party builder who ruined it, a peacemaker and a bulldozer, a plotter and a plodder. The man who wants to be called a Democrat introduced a foul phrase, "do or die." Thank you very much. And I thank my guests for coming to this show today. If you want to read the full column, you can go to thenationonlineng.net or go to my Facebook. Thank you very much for coming again for this show. And until next week, be good.